Hi, my name is Jono, and if you're new here, I do pencil drawings. So I did something recently which I don't often get the chance to do, and that's to showcase my original drawings. It takes a really long time for me to finish my drawings, so to have more than one of them in one space is really special for me. I had 3 works waiting to get shipped off to their new homes, and so I thought that would be a perfect opportunity to open my studio and have a show with a bunch of people who support me and just never really get a chance to see those original drawings. I thought it would be really simple just to put on a small show, but it ended up snowballing into something a lot bigger. It included 2 installations that have been kind of brewing in the background for quite a while, and also getting the studio into its final form, which was a lot more work than we all expected. So I had a bit of a debrief with my team after the fact, which I thought was quite fun, and I'm going to just share some of that with you guys. Also, this video is sponsored by Squarespace, but I'll tell you more about them later.
Let's just start off with the brief. Like, what did we have to do at the beginning of the process?
We're shipping off a bunch of work, and it's an opportunity to show some of the work because it takes so long to draw them. And let's have a show on condition that it doesn't take away from the timeline of the current drawing. So the dream situation was that we could ready the studio in those 3 weeks, and I wouldn't have to get too involved. I could just stay in my drawing studio and get the drawing done. I think I saw it as an opportunity to finish projects that I had started. So there were 2 installations that I've been planning for the last 3 years. The first installation came from kind of an accident with working with streaming, and I found this kind of feedback loop. What I thought was quite interesting was that there would be this balance that was struck. So a balance between lights and darks, and your influence is what decides whether it tips. So shining a torch on very briefly over a corner, and then that light would grow over the corner. And I thought that was really interesting. The masks were just a product of having all of these masks around the studio from that drawing that we were trying to plan. And I think it was maybe even you or Jess made a comment like, this is really creepy, we should get rid of them. And then I thought of, wait, how can we make this more creepy? Let's hang them like around us so that you feel like I'm always watching you while you're working. And then let's put cameras in them so it gets even more creepy.
Can confirm it got a lot more creepy than it initially was, yeah.
I think we realized that we need more hands like ASAP.
There was just too much to do between organizing the materials we needed to put the soundboards together, the curtains, all of the installation things. Since we moved in September, we haven't actually had a proper time to set up the studio.
Yeah.
So it wasn't just like, oh, let's set up the installation. It was like, oh, let's set up the whole studio.
Yeah.
2 installations, all of the originals.
Yeah.
And then also reframe the artworks and set those up as well. The list kept getting longer, and I think pretty early on we were like, we need extra hands.
Yeah.
Whoa, that's like 3D now, so it's like...
Yeah.
The biggest thing on week 2, I feel, was the tent.
I didn't know how it was going to end up, but I knew that like the original concept was strong. So let's grow from that, and then let's play in the space and slowly develop how we interact with the space. It was these small incremental improvements, but they took a lot of time to conceptualize and problem solve. Or what was like the biggest frustration with setting things up?
It's when people started doing something and it's sort of like the guidelines you gave, but then when you came back and saw how it looked and you wanted it changed, obviously the change was better, but it's that feeling of, I just spent all this time doing this thing and Mans wants me to change it. It's like, I felt that from other people.
Yeah.
You can imagine how something might turn out, and then when you see it, you're like, okay, no, this way rather. And that's just part of the process. Like, it can't always be undone.
It's part of my process because I learn practically and I can let go even if I've wasted a day of work. Not quite, but almost there. I can be like, that's a day lost, but I've gained knowledge.
But I think that's the thing, is like when you're not sure what something's going to look like exactly at the end, and you're usually the one doing it yourself, problem solving along the way, it's so much easier to, like, as you're going, you know what you want. And then, but when you're managing someone else doing it, you have to be quite direct and precise with what you want. It is also, I think, hard in another way because you also don't want to be micromanaging, which is something I was worried about, I think, the entire time, because I've never like had to coordinate a team of like 5 people. And I was constantly worried that I was like micromanaging everyone and like being too hands-on. But then when I wasn't, I saw that like it wouldn't happen, I think, the way that it was planned for, because someone had misunderstood what was meant to happen.
I think I'm okay with people making mistakes.
Yeah.
And I'm okay with like time kind of getting wasted. So like I'd rather throw someone in the deep end and like let them make mistakes.
To be fair, you are the boss. So like as employees, as people who are working for you, we don't want to make mistakes regardless of the fact that you're okay with mistakes being made. Like it's just an inherent like, I want to do this well.
Yeah, I think that's a good like baseline,
Yeah.
but it's also like, that mistakes aren't the end of the world, and that's something that slowly starts to like permeate the work culture.
Yeah.
The grow tent and the cameras felt less like you were trying to solve a problem, but more you achieved exactly what you thought you were going to do, and then you felt like pushing further.
Yeah, so I think what I was worried about was that it wouldn't be that interesting. I was like, I mean, it's nice, but it's not like wow. So I was really looking for the ingredients to try and turn it into this really interesting experience for people to come and look at.
So you got to the point where it was like grow tent, camera,
Yeah.
feedback loop, it's working.
Okay, so cloth surrounding the entire inside of the grow tent and the outside, so that we have like severe sound treatment on all the walls. Then carpets and pillows on the floor so people can like sit down and feel comfortable and lie and like roll things around and see the colors. Then we put some speakers in as well, playing some nice ambient 40 hertz like focused music, which was actually quite nice. I don't know, it's very much background, but it adds up. And then finally the air conditioning and the extraction, so that people can sit there and not feel like they're slowly dying. I'm stoked at like the problem solving that happened with that tent. That was like, it grew rapidly and it turned into like quite a good first viable product. I knew the tent was successful when Jess got like stuck in it for an hour and a half or something. I was like, Jess, will you just spend like 10 minutes in there figuring like if there's like what you think might work? We lost Jess for like an hour and came out with like a list of things like, oh my God, we need to do this, which was awesome.
Yeah, so to segue nicely into the masks, that was an idea that you had, like a year ago? Yeah. And it's gone through many iterations.
Yeah.
How did you decide the iteration that it was going to be this time?
That installation ended up being really interesting, just in terms of like process-based work. The way that it fell together, I wanted the cables to like be this mess of cables, and then when they installed it, it was a mess of cables and it looked awful. It looked really, really bad. So then to try and like straighten it up and have tubing for it, and then turning that into copper tubing to reference like a circuit board, I really enjoyed how that process like came together.
How many days out are we? How are we feeling?
We are 10 days out. At the moment, the sound insulation boards are taking priority, because once those are up on the ceiling, then we can start working on the floor.
Well, there's a lot of things I wanted for the space that don't seem that important, but they actually play quite a big role in the experience that everyone has. As soon as you move from the exhibition room, which has no acoustic treatment, into this large room, which typically would be horrendous for acoustics, it wasn't. It was really gentle. That was by design. It took a lot of time for us to build all of these panels and to like install them. But the experience on the night was really special for that reason as well, I think. And the lighting as well was this ambient, soft lighting, which was really gentle. Also, we could have these spots on each of the artworks to highlight those artworks, and you almost are pulling the attention onto like these sharp punctuation marks in this like ambient space.
So then, we got into the event and it was completely fine.
It was great.
All the problems got solved. Everything worked really well, and it's amazing.
So I think there were major errors, and it's how people dealt with them. One of the biggest things is that I was meant to display 4 complete drawings, and I displayed 3 complete drawings and 1 very incomplete drawing. That was like my panic. Was like I was quite upset actually, and quite stressed that there were 2 principles moving into this thing, which was like the exhibition will be viable if I can finish this drawing for it. The drawing is the most important thing. I've never had such a frantic trying to get something ready a couple hours before it's displayed, because like doing the background, check the footage for the drawing, and you'll like, I tried to just like have a presence of calm, like I knew what I was doing. And I'm putting the grinder on the drawing table and I'm like grinding the graphite, and the graphite is just like erupting out of this. And we have Katie, like, who's moved her desk into my studio. I didn't think to tell her, by the way, this place is now toxic. There's going to be graphite over absolutely everything. And there was. The floor is like a mess. I'm sorry. So yeah, I mean, things didn't go the way that we wanted them to, but the acceptance bit was big, and then the actually like realizing how the show went down and people's responses and stuff made it really special.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And did you guys feel satisfied?
It felt good that I could see people were enjoying the space and enjoying themselves and like really receiving everything. I think it's quite cool that like I got to be part of something from start to finish that like culminated in what we achieved, and that I've never been a part of before, so I think that was quite cool. But I've not really processed much of anything except for the fact that like people had a good time.
Yeah.
I felt really proud of everyone that was involved in helping. Like there were friends that came through and even just helped for like 3 hours.
Yeah.
That was really special. There were many points where I was like, how are we going to get all of this done? And everyone that like lent an hour to help or joined us for the full 2 weeks of helping, it really meant a lot and was like really fun actually to have so many people in the space.
The show was kind of just drawing a line in the sand. So everything that could be done was done, and I just had to let everything else go, which felt really good, actually. The most important thing for me was actually just to share my work and my studio and this space that I hold incredibly dear to myself with my community and with people who know what I'm doing here and care about the work and just very seldom get to see it. It takes just such a long time to finish a drawing, and to have a couple drawings in the same space for me is really special. And then, to share that with my community and my loved ones was just even better. Before I end this video, just want to give a quick shout out to this video sponsor, Squarespace. I've been working with them for a couple of years now, and they played a huge role in my career, not only in sponsoring these videos and helping me maintain this channel, but more importantly, early on in my career. I was looking for a way to showcase my work, and I was pretty daunted by the idea of learning HTML and trying to code and build a beautiful website where everything just worked seamlessly. And I was trying to find a way to make it easy for collectors to find me and get in touch with me, and I thought that Squarespace just did that effortlessly. I never had to patch or upgrade anything. I could register a domain with them and set up an online store, and most importantly, I could design a portfolio and show my work the way that I wanted to. Also, every time I got stuck, their amazing support team helped me out instantly. So if you're looking at building a website, give Squarespace a try, and if you decide that you love them, use the offer code and get 10% off your first purchase. It was a really special moment to have everything completed, and walking into the studio every day since the show, which has only been a couple of days, but there's this deep sense of pride. And I'll make a video where we do like an in-depth dive of what's happening here and the work that went into everything. But for now, just having the show behind me and enjoying how it went and kind of just processing everything from the night has been something really special. Let me know in the comments if you have any questions around some of the design or the things that we put into the space to try and make it feel the way it is. I'll try to answer as many questions as I can. And as always, thanks for the support, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.